You know what's really funny? I think that the greatest indicator of personal growth is who's still sitting at your table. Not the relationships that have faded away, but the people that have stayed. Because here's the thing that no one tells you about healing, it doesn't just change you, it changes your environment and the people around you. When you start setting boundaries and showing up for yourself, asking more questions, saying no, becoming more honest, people around you start to recognize that and they start to notice and respond. Some people will start to drift away. Some people start making that statement that I've been getting a lot lately that makes my jaw lock up. I just don't recognize you anymore. Honestly, you start to realize that a lot of people preferred the version of you that made their life easier. I've experienced a lot of that over the last couple of years. Some relationships became deeper than they've ever been, but a lot have ended. Some taught me exactly what they were meant to teach me before moving on, and then there are the really rare ones. The people who somehow know every version of you and choose to keep showing up for you anyway. That's really what today's episode is all about. Welcome back to Therapist Mode, Friends with Therapy Benefits.
Every season, I like to record at least one of these episodes because they're probably some of my favorite and most anxiety provoking for me. They're a little bit different than every other episode that you'll hear on this podcast. Most weeks, I am spending most of the podcast talking with guests about mental health, relationships, boundaries, burnout, people pleasing, and all of the icky things that we navigate as humans.
I spend a lot of time asking other people questions and helping us dig a little bit deeper, although I am trying to infuse a little bit more of that and myself into the podcast as a whole.
But this time, I'm asking someone who knows me incredibly well to answer them, to tell you who I was before I became a therapist, who I've become over the last couple of years, what they've watched me struggle through, what they've watched me grow through, and hopefully calling me out a lot of it along the way.
Because one of the things that I hope this podcast relays to my audience is that therapists are people first. We don't just arrive at this work because we've got life and everything else all figured out. Most of us end up here because we are endlessly curious about other people and mainly ourselves. We've lived through things that have made us deeply curious, and we're doing a lot of our own work too. These therapist mode episodes are my way of practicing exactly what I ask my clients to do session after session, to let someone reflect back on yourself, to stay curious instead of defensive, Brene Brown, to be willing to hear something about yourself that maybe you didn't expect. And honestly, there are very few people that I would trust to do this with publicly.
Today's guest is my best friend, Greg. We've been friends somehow since 2001, which means we've known each other over 25 years. He knew me before I had letters after my name, before I had a career, before I knew who I was. He knew awkward teenage Elizabeth, the one who thought every high school boyfriend was definitely the one. He'd show up with a pint of Cherry Garcia ice cream when it obviously was not. Looking back, I definitely was not heartbroken nearly as often as I dramatically inconvenienced myself and him. He's watched every version of me since then. The anxious overachiever, the people pleaser, the therapist who probably thought she had everything figured out, the version that slowly asked, whose life am I actually living right now? And now, I guess, the version that's trying really hard to build a life that feels good instead of one that just looks good. But here's why I wanted Greg back on an episode. He's not just my best friend. He's one of the most introspective people that I've ever met. You don't really have to be a therapist to spend your life trying to understand yourself. And Greg has always been a person who searched for bigger things and asked mega questions. He's lived all over the country. He's reinvented himself more than once. And in a lot of ways, he's been building his own life since he was like 14 years old. I've always joked that if I'm grounded, Greg is wings. If I'm the square, Greg is trapezoid. I like structure. I like plans. I like understanding how things work. Greg reminds me that sometimes the best parts of life happen when you stop trying to control all of it so much. I help him land the plane every once in a while. He reminds me to look up from the map, and somewhere in the middle, we've spent 25 years helping each other grow into better humans. Now, if you've listened to other therapist mode episodes before, you already know that Greg has one particular talent, at least on my podcast. He doesn't let me get away with my therapist voice. The calm, thoughtful, emotionally intelligent, technically correct one, the one that I'm using right now, but also the one that doesn't share the whole truth. He'll stop me in the middle of a sentence and ask, "Why are you using your fake voice right now?" Honestly, I think that's where this entire podcast came from. That and my completely unsupported theory that I subconsciously started a podcast after he moved to California because I needed a legally binding reason for us to keep talking. So today we're talking about that friendship, conflict, repair, healing, growing apart from other people, going closer to yourself, and what it actually takes to keep choosing one friendship over 25 years while you both keep becoming incredibly different people. So, all right, let's call Greg. We're starting today's episode kind of going over a little bit of what we've already talked about in season one with this concept of these therapist mode versions of this podcast. I jokingly, semi jokingly talked about in the introduction how this became kind of a like evolution of just the way that we would talk to each other on the phone, period. Like just ask each other questions and like push each other and how we were kind of evolving as humans. But I would be interested to hear your take on this podcast as like where the concept of it, like kind of how it came about. Tell me about your rememberings from when this started a couple years ago.
So, from my recollection, which is getting worse and worse every day,
Hmm.
hashtag aging, I feel that it kind of just started from you and I simultaneously were in such different moments, but we were going through something that was like really shaking us both. Like, if you remember, like, I wasn't working, I had spent my entire life like a job or a man. Those were the
Yep.
things that proved to me,
Sometimes both.
God willing, God willing, he also had a job. But I think that I had spent all that time really building my self-worth around no matter what had happened in the past, I had a healthy career and I was in a relationship. So I was deserving of love and a company saw value in me. That was enough. So when I had neither of those, and simultaneously you were also going through like a divorce, I think we were just talking so frequently because after 25 years,
We were falling apart.
we're falling apart, but we're falling apart simultaneously. So how do we help each other grasp on whatever we can grasp on? And I think that that's where the concept of like you say legally binding. I mean, I have not seen a contract, I have not seen a paycheck, so we could discuss this offline. But I think us having the subconscious thought that of all the 8 billion people on this planet, I know what I needed from you in that moment. You know what you needed from me in that moment, even if it wasn't conscious. We know how to get back to that center of each other where it's like, okay, like stuff is going haywire. And I almost feel like it's sick the way we do better if we could help each other out, that it helps
Hmm.
us feel better about our stuff somehow. It's again, I'm not a therapist. It doesn't seem healthy, but it's worked for over 2 decades.
See, and that's the part, like, call out to one of my favorite characters Tina Fey plays in, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where she plays her therapist and she talks about, like, "It is not a problem because I have the words to describe it." Like, I feel like now I have just
Yeah.
become a person I have learned the language about my neuroses and all of my stuff. So if I
Mhm.
have the words to describe it and I understand what's happening, is it really a problem? My
I
professional
mean,
opinion
look,
is no.
it's worked. I don't wanna change it. God don't make me work the next 25 years without you be able to call
No.
ask you like, "Help, God, help me right now." But I do feel that in some ways, like, even in all of my chaos, if I can help you it makes me feel less anxious. And it's not a thing that I think I can name too many people where, and I think I like to help people, and I think that I'm an empathetic type of friend, like, I want to make sure that I can be there when you need me, but I don't know how many times that happens where then I don't feel like I'm doing a little bit of, like, work. Where with
Yeah.
you, it's kinda like, I feel, like, almost better. I'm like, "Oh, I could talk her off the ledge. Great, I had a great day."
You clock out. This is good.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, "Where's my next paycheck coming from?"
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, that things really had like who we had built ourselves to be and how we knew externally like we're good. Like I'm successful, I am these things, I am loved, I am worthy, I'm all of these things. Kind of both of us had built these lives where all of that reinforcement had come from outside.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Like,
I will just speak for myself. I did not realize how fragile that was because once you start taking those pieces away and it doesn't exist inside, I am a good person. I am worthy. I know how to take care of myself. It becomes a little scary. Um, becomes a little scary.
yeah, I mean, I think that anytime you build a foundation on something that's not yours to control, you could potentially lose that piece of foundation, and then what do you fill that with if you don't have your own things that you can pop in there? And I mean, I hate to say it to either one of us, but we just had not done that work yet. Like, I you could not have ever told me before I stopped working, like, "Hey, there's anything else but, like, collecting a paycheck, squatting that title, and then, like, yeah, like a man eventually or on the side or at that same time, whatever it was throughout the whole time I've been working." So, yeah, I mean, I think we fell apart at the right time, and I still say, like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I will say I think it's the best thing that ever happened to you.
I feel like this you mentioned control, which is one of my like love hate words terms right now because I'm starting to recognize how much I need to control things and like even a podcast, like coming up with these are basic conversations that we would be having anyway.
Mhm.
There's just a little bit of like outline structure to like keep us, in some kind of formed conversation. But one of the things I remember talking about with these therapist modes was, is it actually a benefit to have a person that is a therapist? And I credit you all the time for the beginning of my career as a therapist. Because I remember one of my first identity breakdowns was law school. The
Mhm.
plan was to go to law school. And a lot of us know the story behind that, but that was not working out in my early 20s. I just could not see myself doing that, and you were the first only person who was like, "I don't know why the hell you thought you were ever gonna be an attorney. You're a therapist. You've been one. That is who you are. Like, have you ever thought about therapy school, going to school to be a therapist?" And at that time, no, I had never thought about that. But that is where that started. This episode of Friends with Therapy Benefits is brought to you by Luna Rose Candle Company. And if you've been partaking in any of my media for a while now, you already know that I'm a lot of bit obsessed. One thing that I absolutely love about Luna Rose is that there's always something new to discover. Their seasonal releases don't stick around forever. Grapefruit Soleil, my new fave, is a perfect example. It's already sold out. So if you find something that you think that you might love, grab it. They are also super good at putting together the cutest curated bundles like their Sacred Ritual set and other seasonal collections, which make incredible gifts. And just a little reminder that a gift for yourself absolutely counts. What I love most about Luna Rose isn't just that the candles smell amazing, but it's that you can create little rituals throughout your day. Lighting a candle before journaling, reading, taking a bath, or just winding down after work has become one of my favorite ways to slow my brain down and just be a little bit more intentional with my energy and my time. If you've been looking for a simple way to make your space feel cozier, or you've already been thinking about birthdays, holidays, or just because gifts, definitely check them out. I've got their link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
I couldn't tell you at that point when you went to law school that, or when you were, like, planning to go to school for law, like, I couldn't tell you, I don't know if that's really what I would see for you,
Well, you did very strongly.
After you had tried it out. I'm not gonna tell
Yes,
you,
after I had tried and failed.
"Babe, I don't know if you wanna cut this out, but I also stood in your wedding on July 17th in a full tux knowing that wasn't the best idea." And what did I do? I showed up and I attended and I supported. I will let you do
You
what
do lean
you
into
want
the
to do.
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always there to catch you if it doesn't work out. I don't think it's necessarily, and now again, we're much older, so I feel like I could do it in a way that would feel better and we could have a constructive conversation where I don't think you would feel attacked and I know that I wouldn't come with the heat that is still very much a part of who I am, to be like, "What the f you doing?" But I think, yeah, I mean, looking at the journey for the schooling, it just felt natural for you to be in a position where you helped people identify ways to find solutions that they could not find. And to me, that is what therapy at its best should be. Helping me discover ways to either keep issues from occurring or handle the issues in a way that makes it a little bit better to deal with or helps resolve things. That's been your sweet spot again forever.
You've watched a lot of evolution of self over the last 25 years. And like when I think about the fact that we met in Mayor's Youth Council at how old are you in eighth, ninth grade,
Yeah,
13,
you're the
14 years
freshman.
old.
You're a freshman.
What versions of me have you noticed that you can like pinpoint? And then was there a point where you thought like what happened to her? Like what happened to that version?
I think that's a pretty big question. What I will say is, I think that until recently, and I would say this recent evolution of yourself, I think I always could see how you were trying to present. And it's not that it was necessarily always that skewed from who you actually are, but it just felt so performative that you were doing or behaving the way that you felt the audience, whatever character the audience wanted you to be. However, I
Yes.
think that where we were always kind of a good foil for each other is like I was fast and loose and like just real crazy with it. So I always could feel just the touch of that and knew that you would never let yourself really kind of get that. So it was always fun for me to be like, okay, well, I know she's playing this character, but I'm gonna bring out a little bit of what I know she doesn't like, because I'm the only one that wants to see it. Like, like, so the masses for her in her mind, that's not what people wanna see. They wanna see the very put together, like, again, sitting on mayor's youth council, and you were presenting and acting like a 38-year-old woman, and we were freshmen in high school, and I was like, "We're talking about a skate park, girl, like, why are you so serious?" So, but
It was very
it was
serious.
very
It
you
was very
were
Reese Witherspoon in election. It was very
you were
serious.
Reese
10
Witherspoon
skirt serious.
before election. Do you
Mm.
remember? Our first fight before we were ever friends was because you were mad because I was talking during the meeting. And I wasn't apparently paying enough attention or focused enough for
To
you.
me. Mm. Oh,
A
focus on the
stranger.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't
A
come into
stranger.
that group as friends. We met in that group, and you were so bothered by the fact that I just wasn't taking it as serious as you were, or as that you felt that I should, that you
Mm.
like, that's just who you've been. So, knowing that, you had that phase. Then I think obviously we became friends and I think we had so many great moments in high school and I think there's moments where like I stretched you and I love what you said in the intro. It's like we are very much like you are in the map, like you're so dug in and I'm like, well, let's stop at this Arby's here. And like I heard there's like a safari in this town. Like I'm just we but that works for us. Then I think once you got into the college years, I think you did for the first time, and I really loved that. I feel like you kinda let your hair down a bit, and that was really cool, and I think I'm not a therapist, obviously, but it did feel like the moment you were out of the view of certain people, you were like, "Okay, who's gonna check me? Because now I'm not there, like, there's no one there to really monitor." So,
Yeah.
I was aware and heard some of the things that you were doing. I don't know how.
Which we're not gonna talk about on this
Never,
podcast.
never. I was just talking about going to the library. You were to sit in the library, read a book. But I think it was a little bit of freedom. Then I saw Liz the engaged, Liz the dutiful wife, Liz the, and not in a negative space, but I do think, and again, arguably, maybe that's the way you should look at a relationship. I watched you always put someone else first. And that was a new thing because even in your, I think sometimes, like, yes, you were forced to maybe focus on other people, or because of things that happened in your youth, that's a natural thing. But it was the first time where it was really palpable, I think, to me. Like,
Yeah.
we all know, again, your history, but that I was like, this just, everything is based off of someone else. And I don't know when she's going to either break, or is this just what she's like, this is who this woman was gonna become because she's just been so, it's so ingrained in her to do that, and it was difficult sometimes as your friend to watch that because I'm like, "That's, I don't want that for my friend, but what
Yeah.
my friend chooses for their life is what they choose for their life." So it was a difficult kind of, like, balance.
And you did not just not say anything. I will say that too. Like you very much like I was gonna say skirted the line, but not skirt, like touched up against what you could feel was my boundary with like this is the decision I'm making, this is what I'm doing
Mhm.
with are you sure though? Like, this is what I'm seeing. This is my concern. And so I feel like you did well with that line that a friendship can come across where like your friend is making a decision that you can kind of see the holes all over in, but they're going to do it no matter what. And you can't just sit by and like let that happen. So you're like, well, here's I'm going to put my opinion out here. I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing and then I'm going to leave it. I'm going to show up in my black tuxedo in the heat of
And that's really interesting,
summer.
and thank you. I mean, that I that's great for me to hear because my recollection of who I was if I wasn't yelling and cursing and you were basically crying because I was giving you my opinion, then you did not hear my
What I
opinion.
was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was able to ever do that in a delicate way that, touched up with that without ever getting like out of line, then I'm glad I did. Cause in my mind, I'm like, oh, I just spent all that time being silent. Cause I don't remember us having like a big blow up conversation about it. Because
Mhm.
that's where I was like, I didn't necessarily want to, because I knew I felt strongly about some of it. So it was again,
Yeah.
let your people, we're adults. People make their own decisions. So,
100%.
and I will always, would always be there if something not work out. Then I think we had what I call Liz 2.0, which really kicked off, arguably we could say it kicked off in February of 23,
Oh, we have a date. Okay.
but I believe it kicked off when you came to visit me the summer
In
before.
LA.
Yes.
Because there's one thing, like, I will say something about that I'm learning about myself. I have made decisions before I start to make
Action them. Yep.
decisions.
100%. That was a big decision that I think you made before you got on the plane to come see me. I think that decision was made, in my opinion, again, I can't speak for you. I think it was made then.
Yeah.
You came to LA with a weight off of your shoulders that I had not seen in a very long time. You felt more at peace.
Yeah.
And when you left, I remember speaking with Alan and being like, that girl just, I have not seen that girl in a long time. And like, whatever may come will come, but if I could feel it different, you know? So
I just wanted to, because like decision. I got a divorce shortly after, or like filed for divorce shortly after that. But I feel like the decision wasn't necessarily the divorce or the relationship itself. The decision was for me to begin to start to live out loud, that I had started to notice that I had shut pieces of myself down and really was living for other people, especially my marriage, my relationship at that time, and not doing things that felt authentic to me. And so it wasn't just that I had made this decision. I don't even think at that point I had thought about divorce or the relationships ending. It was I need to start doing things for myself, living as like who I am and what feels authentic to me.
Yeah, I mean, now when you broke out a club top on that trip, again, I realized you were living out loud because I could not believe you had a leather club top to go out in, which was fantastic. So
I did.
again, the signs were there, but
The
I think
pieces were aligning.
yeah, oh yeah, they were like stacking up. But I do think that that's a great way to look at it. It was really more you. That decision was you choosing you instead
Yeah.
of choosing someone else, which you had
Yeah.
not done in so long.
Yes.
And then fast forward to February of 23, and I remember when I came home and I was like, "Oh, okay, like, she's good." Like, "She's good." And I didn't realize you just kept getting gooder and gooder and gooder so fast. And I was like, "Wow, okay." And I remember being like, "Okay, is this the moment?" Because I know we had at that point, we had talked about all of my feelings around everything before, the things that I hadn't said and things that I thought, and, like, you were
Yeah.
like, "Well, why didn't you say anything?" And I was like, "Baby girl, that's your
You weren't
life.
gonna listen to me anyway.
You weren't gonna listen. If I had held a banner out there, you weren't gonna listen. You had to come to that decision yourself." And then I was like, "Okay, great. So now we're old ass people. We can have these conversations." And I remember being like, "Okay, do I need to tap in and be like, are you just moving too fast? Like you're like too good too quickly?" And I was like, "Let's see how it pans out." And every step of the way, I feel like you have just added more and more into yourself, which feels like such a healthy way to see someone build that back up because I think you gave away so much of yourself over a period of time that
Yeah.
you're doing the work. I mean, you should be able to, you're a therapist, but you're doing it and it seems to be working. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think this version of Liz is what? That's probably the fourth version, but I've loved them all, and I think that you probably have one more reinvention in you. You're
Oh, at
like
least.
the mixed Madonna. Like, you
At
can
least. Mixed Madonna.
just
I
keep
feel like
coming back.
I want like this next version of me to be a version that understands that more versions will come. Like that little meme that's been going around online a lot of you've changed, I don't recognize you, and then the next one is like I thought we were supposed to. Like that's the
Yeah,
I want that to be the next version of me. Is that
I love
things
that.
I feel like I've spent, like you called out, a lot of my life being what other people needed me to be. Like I learned who you needed me to be, and that's who I was.
Mhm.
Um, and it is weird to think about who I actually am, what I actually like, what I actually want. Those are not things that are native to like my thought process. So,
And I think
um,
that's probably something that evolves over time. The stuff that we wanted or need today shouldn't really
be what
always
you
be the same what we needed and wanted 5 years ago, like, and even
100%.
5 years from now, you know?
100%. I wanted to take a quick minute to tell you about something I've been pouring a lot of my heart into lately. If you've enjoyed these conversations, I think you'll really love my Substack. It's where I write thoughts that don't quite fit into 60-second Instagram reels or even a 1 hour podcast episode. Every single week, I share personal essays about mental health, people pleasing, relationships, boundaries, burnout, healing, and what it actually looks like to build a life that feels like your own. It's honest, it's reflective, and sometimes funny. At least I hope it comes across funny. Sometimes emotional, and it's probably the place where you'll get to know me best. If you're looking for something to read with your morning coffee or something that makes you pause and think, wow, I really need to get back into therapy, I'd love to have you there. You can subscribe for free at elizabethmaycar.substack.com, and I'll have that link waiting for you in the show notes. All right, back to today's conversation. What do you think is something that hasn't changed about me?
Your generosity of spirit.
Mm,
I think that you really do still have an ability to see the best in people and to be very gracious even when I don't know if a lot of people would see it that way, and I can tell you I don't in so many situations. So, I've always just been fascinated by your ability to be like, peace be with you. Or and it's not even peace be with you and release them, or, cut that person out and be like, "Hey, this you're just not." It's more like a radical acceptance, and still giving so much, like, again, grace to who that person is or what those behaviors are, where I don't again, I think sometimes I'm like, "That person did X, Y, and Z, and you're still like, you didn't just, like, throat chop them?" Like, so to me, I think that's one of it's always been your best, like, one of the things that has been consistent, like, you see the best in everyone. I cannot think of anyone, well, I got a couple names, but we're yeah, we're
But
like,
like
we're
the release though, the release with love. Like I and that is
yeah.
something that I call it an oldest daughter, call it a Capricorn, call it whatever you want. I definitely have the ability that if you have wronged me or I have perceived a wrong, you can be dead to me. Like that can happen very quickly. And I feel like I that is a protection and a survival that I've, kind of built
Yeah.
fortification around me, which again, we'll go back to the conversation about is that healthy? Jury's out maybe in some situations. Um, but the ability to release things with love, to be a person that like, okay, that just didn't work out for me, or you weren't right to be in my life any longer. We had a relationship to teach me something, or for me to learn something, and then for that to move on. I feel like that is something I definitely want to grow more into. Um, because not everything needs to be this like very Capricorny, like I'm just done, like the end here, period.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person for that because I feel like as I've gotten older, I have just also kind of been like, Drake said no new friends. So, like, if you're not 20 years in and I start to
What are
see
we
the
even doing?
flags, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like, I don't have to, I'm all right. But again,
100%.
is that healthy or not? Who knows?
Yeah. And I think that's for you to decide on a daily basis or on a case by case basis,
Yeah.
like what is healthy and what is not. Like just my professional opinion.
You said when you said professional opinion, I'm like, are you billing me now?
Yeah. We won't even cut a billable between the either one of us. We won't cut up billable hours for
Yeah.
all of the shit that we drug each other through.
With my schoolcraft therapist degree.
Well, like I said at the beginning, like you not being a therapist, but going on your own journey of self discovery and digging into some of the things you wanted to change about yourself, enhance about yourself, all of this, growing more into who you are. I think that you don't have to have a therapist credential. You either have that innately or you don't. And sometimes that therapist I will call it a mask because it definitely is for me, prevents you in a lot of ways from being able to self grow and to really see people, your friends, for who they are. I think a lot of what you're describing, and we'll get into in this next little part here of my like Reese Witherspoon election era of my life, of things needed to be a certain way, was that's how I survived things, having a lot of anxiety in daily life. I needed boxes and headings with subtitles and like I needed things to be organized or I was going to spin out. Um, and that is how I approached therapy once I became a therapist. That is definitely how I approached the beginning of my career was things need to be in boxes. I don't care what the box is titled, but we need to make things like labeled and perfect and palatable, several years outside of what I would consider a pretty big breakthrough breakdown. You describe, you define it however you want to just to define it. I know now that that is not a healthy way to that's not a healthy way for me to live. I needed some more messiness, um, and to continue to get used to things being unorganized.
Yeah, and again, I think that's one of the reasons we have been able to just keep this train going for so long is, like, I always consider you, like, you're the person whose trapper keeper on the last day of school looked the exact same way as the first day of school, like,
Mhm,
math
mhm.
was blue, science was green, English was red, everything was, like, and mine started like that, and by 3rd period of the 2nd day, the Gettysburg Address is like stuffed in there. Like it's just stuff. But I'm gonna figure it out and I'll be able to go back and make it work. Maybe it's so wrinkled that I can barely read what I wrote, but I believe that I will figure it out. Like I've got the
Right.
tools, they're just not in there the same. And like you are five-star binder, like pristine. And I think y- you can still keep you can keep that, but then also
Yeah.
be okay if a page goes missing or
I had
I
to
don't
learn that though. Like it was not okay if a page went
oh,
missing. Like
back
it
then
was
it
not okay
wasn't.
if a page got wrinkled. It was not okay.
No,
Like
no,
I
back
had to
then.
learn, yes, that it would be okay, that I would survive, things would survive. And actually it is a lot better, feels a lot better to not have things so incredibly like what's the word? Like tight.
It's gotta feel a little bit, like, relaxing.
100% better. Yes. I want to get into a little bit about conflict repair and why we're still friends.
Okay.
Um, I think about like high school and how marching band, like just how we were friends, how things started is in it. That's a whole nother, like, not even episode. That's for us to like have our own stuff. But even the like we keep alluding to this story of this apology letter, um, which I feel like
Apology
again,
letter?
apology postcard,
It was yeah, I
apology
had to hold it
poster,
up.
poster. It was giant. Um, but like, and again, your coming out story and me making that about you not telling me first. There were certain things about my tightness, my anal my type anus that like I question a lot. Like, how is he still friends with me after that? I now know I can label the way that I handled conflict back then was something called stonewalling, where when someone does something you don't like and to punish them, you just like that's that garage door shutting of like we just won't like you're just dead to me. We just won't speak anymore. That is how I handled conflict through my own work and understanding. I now know where that comes from and why it exists. Again, not making it healthy or right, but I understand where it comes from. So now I can work towards breaking that apart. Um, but essentially, why what are your thoughts on how our conflicts or like things like that when we had rifts in our relationship, how did those repair themselves? And like why did we care enough, I guess, to do that?
Yeah. Um, I think the first thing I wanna pause and acknowledge is that even your coping mechanisms have a gay reference to them. It's you're
Okay.
stonewalling? Really?
It is the theme of who I am.
You just can't
I
escape
am
them.
Grace Adler 100% of the way. I am not changing that. Yes.
No, don't change that, I love it, as soon as I was like, "Not Stonewall, babe." Um, okay, so to your actual question, I think how did they resolve themselves? They didn't. We resolved them. I think that even at a young age, we had the ability to be like, "Hey, we gotta figure this out." In the moment, let's the infamous apology board.
Mm. For me, apparently. Not the highlight for you, but for me, this sticks in my brain, yeah.
For you, again, I think that there's a lot of reasons why I think that that should be a highlight just in our friendship and period. Like period. You're you were mad that I did something that you didn't think I should do and you didn't want to do.
Uh-huh.
I was so worried about you being mad at my choice that I was going to continue to do regardless of how you felt. I was going to do it and keep doing it. Just kind of felt like the biggest if you remember, like, the way it felt to me, it was also, like, the ripple effect through people that we knew were like, "Oh,
Yes.
they're
This
like
is yeah.
this isn't like, they're not good now." This probably lasted all 3 days. But I remember, again, this is the person I am in this friendship. I took that entire period of art where I probably should have been working on something for Mr. Leonardo, um, and instead of doing my actual classwork, I drew out an apology poster board. Do you still have it?
Uh,
You may want to
oh,
put that
I
somewhere.
will find it and link it. Yes, I still have
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I think it
Um,
has yeah, yes.
yes. Oh, yeah, again, I people understand what
What
I
we're
mean.
talking alluding to.
And
Yeah.
yeah, alluding to allegedly, what made Liz so mad at me
Right, right,
in
right,
sophomore year of high school as if no one else had ever done it.
right.
Um,
Well, Reese Witherspoon had not, so okay.
of course not. No, no, no. I think that for me, you were mad, and I couldn't deal with you being mad at me.
Yeah,
And I valued our friendship enough where if someone else had been mad, there's no way I would have been putting watercolors or pencils or anything to paper to I'd be like, "Get over it."
yeah,
But I knew where you were and how you viewed the world. You viewed the world as the people that did not fall into kind of the same behaviors that you did. Like, your friend group was really very much in the same vein as you were. I think in
yeah.
behaviors, in things that you were interested in, things that you would or wouldn't do. I somehow had snuck my way into your, like, atmosphere because I was not a band kid, I was not a drama kid. I was putting rum and coke in a Coca-Cola bottle and drinking that in health class and falling down in the field of gym, like, that's who I was, so
Mhm.
those are all things that you were just never a part of, so I think knowing the value of when someone accepts you and accepts the things that they disagree with. I won't say flaws, I'll say the things that they disagree with. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, that's not cool for me. I don't like that." I knew innately like that was a boundary you were setting.
Mm,
So to apologize, it wasn't that I was apologizing for what I did. It was, "Hey, I'm sorry that this is like bothering you." And the only way I can do that is try to add a little bit of humor into it by basically what's that movie where he holds up the radio? Like,
I'll
say
be
anything.
standing my yeah.
Oh,
Watch
yeah.
or no, that's the wrong song. Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah,
remember. The boombox, yeah.
the boombox, but, like, just having that on your car, like, I wish that I could go back to just see your face when that thing was just covering your windshield of your car.
And it unfolded and unfolded and unfolded. Yeah.
Yes. So, again, I think they resolve that those situations resolve themselves because we put the work in. You also put the work in on the opposite side to like not hold a grudge and I hope find whatever value you found in that moment in my friendship that you were like, okay, I don't like that he did this. I wouldn't do this myself, but he's apologized and obviously cares about my feelings.
Mhm.
Not even it's not maybe the opinion. He cares enough about how I feel about it to address it and want to, like, smooth it out.
Squash it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I, yeah, I, like, obviously think about that a lot, and I feel like in the moving that I've done physically moving and that I've
Mhm.
done in the last couple of years, I have these couple of boxes of my high school things, and that letter is or poster is one of the things that travels around, so I've been taking it out a lot and seeing that
Yeah.
box, so I feel like that's been keeping it fresh in my mind, and that is just one of the threads that I've brought into a lot of my therapy, my own therapy of like, this is how, why do I hold so tightly to certain things and then try to bring other people into my box instead of recognizing that like maybe my box is the problem. Like maybe I need to kind of break down some of this and live outside of it. And I feel like that's what one of the things that I've always gotten out of our friendship is the safety in coming outside of that, of like the humor in like, you're being, Elizabeth, you're being ridiculous. Like, I'm going to play into this because I know that it's important for you, but you are being like, you need to kind of unclench a little bit and like let go and let God and like, let's have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, because
Um,
I don't remember if I actually verbally apologized. I think I just put that
No, we weren't having conversations at that point.
No, no,
No.
no, no, no. We were
No, no.
no, we weren't
We
gonna
just felt like it was
no.
just like, "It's over now," and we were on like, it's very high school. We're on to the next thing,
Yeah,
friendship
yeah.
group repaired. Let's go to
I was just hiding under the
to go
bleachers
see each
watching you go to your car. See that board. Yeah, and then we're fine, for sure.
funny. Yeah, I need to those boxes are in this closet, right? So I keep looking over here. So I'll dig that out and I'll send you a photo of it so then we both have record of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and then I'll send you the Spotify of Our Lady Peace, Clumsy, so you could listen to that song and have a good
Oh,
laugh.
I'm reading it. It is cry.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know, maybe we need to ask that question. How did we get back in good graces? Did you forgive me for not coming out to you first?
No, God. I that one I did like honestly, like I was saying, I wish I could say that you are the only person that I have done that to. It is not accurate. So, like, yours, along with three of my other really good friends' stories, are very similar.
Really?
And I know, like, I'm trying to like, do I explain myself? Do I just like apologize because it is horrible to do that to someone?
No,
Both.
explain.
Um, my identity was slash is so wrapped up around making other people feel safe and included and part of. I needed to be that person for other
Mhm.
people. And you being my closest relationship, the fact that something so like personal for you, so much of who you are, your identity, you for reasons as an adult in this moment I can totally see didn't share with me first
Mhm.
was mortally wounding to that part of my identity. And at that version of myself just could not see past that. That like
Yeah.
to me that meant we are not as close as I thought we were. He doesn't trust me. He doesn't think I'm a safe person. And that I could not see past.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense at almost 40 years old for me. Like
Yeah.
at 18, I was like, wow, this bitch is crazy. Like, can't believe this. But I think I mean, I know I can understand that because in that same vein, I couldn't tell you first
Yeah.
because I cared so much about your opinion, and it did not matter that you had surrounded yourself with a gaggle of some of Farmington Hills gayest of gays. I just did not have at that point, because if you remember the timeline,
Yeah.
that was when the abandonment issues that have been in my body form, like Wolverine metal claws, like it's just a part of me.
Yeah.
That's when that stuff all kinda happened and everything that created that space. So the risk of you not accepting me or the risk of me putting a position where, "Oh, she's gonna look at me different," or I don't have, like, that connection anymore, it was too risky for me. So I felt
Yeah.
more comfortable telling people who, like if they were like, "Oh, I don't support that, I don't accept that," it wasn't that big of a loss. The risk there wasn't as heavy.
Yeah.
So and then I also thought that maybe I could, like, get up enough numbers so that when I did tell you, other people could stand it and be like, "Hey, he's still cool." Like, again, in case you had to be convinced if I could get allyship before we even knew what allyship was,
Right.
I felt safer with that.
When I look at how identity and like kids being themselves across like not even just talking about LGBTQ youth, but just like in general, there is so much more individuality that just is expected at this point that my hope is that all of this stuff that we dealt with in the early 2000s as millennials is just not a thing for this next generation.
I really don't think it is because I think there's just I mean, there will always be. There's the same way there's always everything that
Yeah.
they'll deal with that we would hope would be not a part of this, period of human, history.
Right, right.
But I do think it's so different and so much better. I mean, because I think the people that are raising these kids are
For
people who
us.
are us. Like, I have 2 friends, and when I tell you they are doing the most fantastic job, I could not have dreamt for my parents to have been more supportive of what they knew that they didn't wanna say of me being a child.
Yeah.
They go to every pride every year. They don't have a child that's over, I think, 9 or 10, but what they are doing is providing a space so that if one of them who may identify how they choose to identify later in life, that family and it's providing not only the children the safe space, it is also and when we talked about it, the stance was, I also know that the people older than me and my parents and all and those uncles and aunts they would not have been supportive, it had been our
Yeah.
generation. So now
Yeah.
I'm letting them all know, these are my children, these are how we feel, and everyone will fall in line because your previous thoughts aren't gonna be what we do with these kids in the future. I mean, and when I tell you, like, I know both of them, and I've been friends with them both forever, but, like, the husband is, like, 280, like, jacked, like, he's just, we call him, like, Thor, like, he was, like when we all, like, were in these bachelor parties, it was like the Avengers, like, he's just like a giant, like a bro, and
Yeah.
he was rainbow flag, pink, doing it every year, and it's incredible. So, I think that hopefully that provides people, you know, a little bit of
Comfort.
a comfort, yeah,
Yeah.
and so that people don't have to get upset when they aren't the first one to be told that some
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that
I
callback. I
wanna make
was
sure
starting to feel more comfortable, and then you, like,
I'm not still bitter about it at all.
"You should be bitter. Continue to be bitter. Continue to push me to" yes, that yeah.
No, I think
Um,
you've done enough. You've paid your dues.
I've done enough. Hopefully, the non-billable, billable hours have have
For
made up
sure.
for
Yeah.
have made
Look,
up
you've
for
had to
that.
talk like, I came out to you last, but you're the first person I call every time one of these relationships hits the ground. Every time I'm crying on the floor.
Right,
Oh,
right.
god.
Yeah. I feel like that, like, adult relationships, intimate, non-intimate, like, romantic, it doesn't matter. Just adult relationships are just weird. When I look at our parents, even exers, like and how they relate to each other or don't have relationships, and they still don't really know anything about the people that they're in relationships with or accept them for who they are. It really is just interesting to me how like you're describing your friends, how millennials really like we are a very emotional feeling people, and to be able to raise kids in whatever way you're doing that as a parent,
Yeah.
as an aunt, as a friend of, as whatever, as a community member, whatever, to be able to be in spaces where children are being brought up, I think is amazing. To be able to see that like you can hurt my feelings, we can talk about it. I can recognize that they're just hurt feelings. I can recognize that other people, get to be who they are, even if it hurts all of those things. That kind of relationship repair, I think, is at the risk of sounding like super like granola and crunchy, like that is what will save us all. Being able to be real human beings and have humility, I guess is kind of where I'm headed with that.
Yeah, and I think that, like, it's interesting because I think as you make adult friendships or you start to form these adult relationships and friendships, I have found that again, I tell everyone, I think everyone should go to therapy. It should damn near be mandatory because you go into it, and if you think you got 10 feet of shit, you get through it, and a good therapist is gonna help you dig through that. It's the 10 feet underneath that you weren't aware of where I think the real magic happens. So, that's always how I pitch therapy. There's just so many people, if I could just put them on my insurance, I would do it so they could get therapy. But I think that what I've learned is, as I've tried to make adult friendships, you find that I think that what I view as the challenge in an adult friendship is you've had so much more time to collect data. And by
Mm,
collecting data, I mean it's the data that has made the prism that you see the world through. At
mm,
14, we only had so much worldview to see through. At almost 40, we got a lot more worldview. We've got a lot more life experiences that create that worldview. So meeting someone today, you're bringing in 40 years of your own life experience and how you now see yourself and everything around you. If you're making those connections with people that don't have the alignment that you may have, it does make it challenging. So I think, like, even for myself, I look at some of the relationships that I've had since I've been here, and some of them have fallen out, some of them have changed, things like that. But the root for me is always, can I have a conversation about what has occurred? And are you at the same level of capability to hold yourself accountable and to hold me accountable so that we can resolve the conflict? Because I think conflict, I read something and it said, conflict is just conversation when someone can't take accountability.
I
And
like that.
and I think that we have had that ability, like, throughout our time to still be like, "Hey, I didn't like that. This may have bothered me, but I think we've always been really good at the accountability part. So we have conversations, we don't have
Yeah.
conflicts. Where again, I know that you can't have that with someone you meet today because you don't have 25 years of like the groundwork like to build on. So I think it
Right.
does make it challenging to do like adult friendships or relationships. I think all of it just gets a little bit more until you find the people who have the same kind of, that have that ability. Like I have friends that I know we can have like a tough 20 minutes and by the 25th minute, we've really figured out what that conversation is and like, hey, we are good and
Mhm.
that feels amazing. And I have other people where I'm like, I have to compartmentalize you differently because there's not enough Rosetta Stone or Duolingo that I could learn any language where you would
That you
hear
would get
what
it.
you would get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I have a friend
Yeah.
that he was talking about the other day, and I was like he told someone, he's like, "I just said flat out, 'We won't be good until you say, 'I'm sorry.'" And I was like and then he responded, "I sar e," like, the split of, like, a different like, there's just no way this guy's ever gonna say, "I'm sorry." He can't. So he will find every way to he's gonna do something, but he can't say, "I'm sorry."
So in those situations, you kind of have to decide, are you like, as the person wanting that apology in that situation, are you someone that can continue to show up in that relationship knowing you're not going to get that, compartmentalizing yourself in some kind of way, to show up pieces of yourself, I guess? Or is that a relationship you kind of walk away from? Like, this is something I don't want to show up half-assed or in a half kind of way. You can't give me what I need or want to be able to repair this relationship. So, you know, I'm out. I feel like
You have to make
my
that choice for sure.
yeah,
You have to make that
yeah.
choice that's right for you.
Yeah. I feel like when I look at my friendships from like teenagehood, childhood, whatever that have transitioned themselves over into adulthood, one of the major themes I find is either those friendships are in one of two categories. One, we don't speak a lot, but when we see each other and do talk like through text or quick phone call or see them out at some event, um it's, "How are you? What's going on? Like, catch me up," kinda thing. Or the other side is that friendship lives in memories. It lit like, you both kind of become the version of yourself that you were when you were really close or, had a more consistent
Mhm.
friendship, and everything the stories, what you talk about, what spend your time doing when you're together lives in 2003.
Yeah, I think that there's like, I call that the nostalgia need. I think that
Yeah.
there is just, and I think most of them probably, or I won't say most of them. I think a lot of friendships can fall into that, and I think you can kind of bounce between both of them. Like, I think there are periods of times where there's people that I knew, we really were just only connected because of memories and things that, like, anytime you got it, like, it's great to tell the same story that we've
Yep.
all heard and do like, I love to beat a dead horse. You walk me through the same story, and I'm gonna find it just as funny as the last 20 times we told it and the day it happened. But how do you then if you're able to then also keep that like consistency and grow together, that to me is where
Yeah.
I kind of changed, I think, the way I looked at friendships, which is, are you helping me grow? Or are you making not again, not it's not your job to help me grow. Does this friendship or relationship help me evolve as a person? Does it keep me in the same space? Does
Mhm.
it take me back? I don't need any of all of them can be fine. I have friendships that I know take me back where I'm like, "Oh my god, this hanging out with you," I'm like 22 years old again. Like, I know what that is like.
Yeah.
This is really great for here, and this friendship, we are actually growing, like, we're on a path that is not the same, but we're going in the same direction, and we're going at the same speed and pace, so that's where I think it's hard. I mean, it's hard, and compartmentalizing it makes it so much easier, and I don't think that that's a negative thing. I think it makes it where you can understand, ideally, both of you,
Yeah.
what that is.
If you and I are not already connected on Instagram, we need to fix that. This podcast is where we can have these longer conversations, but they're a little bit one sided. Instagram is where you get all of the in between moments, behind the scenes, little mindset shifts, therapist hot takes, reels that make you laugh, and then accidentally question your entire life. All of the usual. It is honestly becoming one of my favorite places to connect with all of you. You can find me at Elizabeth May Carr. And if you come over from the podcast, send me a DM to say hi. I always love to know who exactly is listening to me ramble. All right, back to today's episode. Let's talk about mental wellness journey for a second, because I feel like that's also been a common theme in our, kind of separate growing into ourselves, but then also something that we share. I know something else I really appreciate about our friendship is you said this earlier about change. I make when I make a decision, the behavior outside is a little slow to react, but once it does, it's like dominoes falling, like things happen
Mhm.
very quickly. And I feel like one of the things that I have spent a lot of time doing in the last several years is pouring into my own mental health. Yoga has become a huge part of my life. My own therapy and growth has become a huge part of my life. Surrounding myself with people who are doing some of those same things, who
Mhm.
can, you know, who kind of know who they are and are really grounded in that, but also are making oh, I know that I am very type A and that I have this sense of need to control. This is where I can kind of let go. My group of girlfriends that does yoga together, we have this little phrase that we use. I can be carefree and flexible. I am a carefree and flexible person. None of us, like, that is not the core of
Mhm.
who any of us are, but just kind of that knowledge, like little joke into like, we're not that, but we're really trying to be that. That's what I've tried to surround myself with the last few years. Um, and I wonder about for you, for us, what has made us take that mental health journey so seriously, kind of how that's worked its way into, you know, finding yourself. Is that the right way to put that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have the perfect answer for that. What I believe, and again, LA, my dog gets lasers. I'm real woo woo. I got crystals charging in that window right now. I think that there is an ability outside of our awareness to find an alignment, to
Yeah.
find a community. And I think that we were, again, in all due respect, really hope no one listens to this. We were developing sorry, not I hope everyone listens to this. Everyone, play it everywhere. Blast it, send it to your
Broadcast
just
it.
don't send it to our parents. Um,
Okay. We hope a specific someone does it. Okay, got it.
yes. I think that we were experiencing at the same time very different traumatic moldings of who we were and who we would
Mm,
be. So I do think that when we identified as we got older, the first steps, I mean, do you remember the first conversations we would have ever had where I could be like, wow, I'm seeing a therapist and she's helped me identify that I have been taught to be a manipulative person because I've been manipulated my whole life. Like
Yeah.
to have that realization at 24 years old is strange. I don't know if that's like everyone's experience. So then as we kept doing that and you were actually because you were a therapist and you were on your own wellness journeys, I think we just continued to see the benefit of that, and because we were doing it we had been doing it, I think, for each other before we
Yeah.
had anyone else to do it for us, or we had the tools to do it in the way that we can now. It just has made it natural, like, and I think that again, I don't know if it's the right answer, it's gonna sound real, like, fluff. I think the universe provides you soulmates that may not ever be your romantic partner, and we, as soulmates, have just had the right alignment and the right moments where it's like, "Hey, you're down bad, I'm down bad, we're gonna come out of it," but then when we come out of it, the growth alignment is like, "Okay, cool, we're both here now." Like,
Right. It's like you jump off of the ship and you pop up at the like,
at the
oh,
same time,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's a thing, that's a unique thing that I don't know how you could replicate that for people, but I would hope that there's
Yeah.
someone, especially again, because your podcast is focused so heavily on mental wellness journeys. Take this, you can add this as like a Greg tip number 1, season 2. Try to find someone that you feel comfortable with exposing the vulnerability of your wellness journey.
Hmm.
I think that I'm on the other side of so much of that shadow work and all that deep, deep digging I had to do to get to ground level of who I could be and not be a person that was just so mentally just all over the place when it came to emotions and all the things he was carrying and all that. That now I can wear I will paint "I love therapy" on this t-shirt right now and be like totally fine and go out. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
At that time and when you're in it, it doesn't necessarily always feel that good to expose yourself to the people around you. So if you
Yes.
can find someone that when you do connect with them, you feel comfortable to say, wow, my therapist really dragged me this week because they said X, Y, and Z, and it felt like crazy to hear. And then I think I've even asked you, like, have you seen that? Like, because for me,
Yeah.
there were some things over those journeys where they were just so hard to hear that I needed to be able to be like, "Are you
Is
have
this real?
experienced this? Like, have you like, is this something that like, like as a person on a personal level you've seen?" And
Yeah.
it helps. So
Yep. I know that you were one of the first people that I told that I was in therapy, that I was going to a therapist, that felt comfortable and safe to say, like, there are cracks that have been here for a really long time that I'm just acknowledging. And it feels like the more I acknowledge them, the bigger that they get. And it is terrifying.
yes.
Um, so I feel that. I can remember conversations we've had, not in so much specifics, but where we've said something like that. My therapist said XYZ, and the other person is like,
Tell me
uh,
more.
this is the first time you're recognizing that. Oh, okay.
Oh
That's
God,
the place where
yeah.
we are. But it's good to have people like that around you where you can be honest truly um about kind of what you're going through, what you're experiencing, and someone that's not just going to be a yes man, like, oh, you don't, that therapist is wrong, or that
Mhm.
person is that's not the way that I see you. I think whenever something hits me that deep, that it really, like, kinda shakes me, there's some kind of truth to it. There's something that connects to it that I'm like, there's that's accurate, or that's an experience I've had several times before. Um, so, yeah, I
It
like
hits a
what you
nerve. It hits a
100%.
yes.
Yes, yes. I like that tidbit of, finding people that you can be open and honest with in your because and the other thing I'm trying to, therapy is not for everyone. You know,
Debatable.
a life coach, I mean, again, I think that not everyone, and what I'm kind of seeing on the mental health side is things are moving a lot more towards somatic work, EDM, EDM, EMDR, is a really big type of therapy that is becoming more popular now, which is a lot more process driven and a lot less psychodynamic talking. Whatever works for you.
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
you find something that helps you feel connected and grounded to yourself, that challenges you, that pushes you, that makes you question things, and go with that. Go more with that.
I
Um,
100% agree. I think, therapy being debatable is a joke. I 100% agree. I think if you want to get fit, you can
yeah,
do Pilates, you can do CrossFit, you
right.
can do Barry's boot camp. There are ways that you can get fit, and there are different ways depending on what you want your fit to look like. I think
Yeah,
that's the same for mental, like, health and mental wellness because,
yeah,
yes, I know what I need and what type of therapist has worked for me over the years. I know the type of therapist that has not worked for me over the years, and that does not mean that that's the same like, it could flip. So, there's just
yep,
so many ways to do the journey, and it's your journey. So,
yeah,
you gotta do what you feel like works for you and gets you to the goal that you're looking for.
yes. Yes, the goal that you are looking for. And I think as a callback all the way to the beginning, it doesn't necessarily have to be as organized as a hit class, Barry's boot camp. It can literally be I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to
Yeah.
get up and go. Like, I think just the recognizing that something feels off, that I don't feel connected to myself, that I'm not happy, that I feel really whatever all the time is enough
Yeah.
to start a
That's the
wellness
start.
journey.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's end today's formal conversation with a little bit
Mhm.
of rapid fire. So I'm in the last couple minutes of our outline here, and there's a couple like sentence starters that I have that hopefully you will finish without putting much thought into it, just kind of quickly what comes off the
Okay.
top of your brain.
Alright,
Ready?
let's go.
This
Yeah.
is either going to be really scary again with you coming here
Oh, no.
very shortly after we conclude this, or okay, complete this sentence.
Okay.
Liz's superpower is
Making other people feel seen.
Liz still struggles with.
Letting her hair down.
Mm, not today.
Oh, no,
Uh,
you said a good hair
half,
too.
half down.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, her most annoying trait is
I mean, it's so selfish, but I feel like it's that I know when I see you this week, you're gonna leave by, like, 9:30 PM no matter what everyone's doing. It's just your bedtime.
that
Your
I like
bedtime and
my
I'm in
beauty
town.
rest.
What?
Okay. Oh, that I like my beauty rest.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah.
most annoying trait. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Um, she has changed the most in.
Her awareness of her own needs.
I know she's stressed when.
I know you're stressed when we're having a conversation about what's stressing or what you're, like, dealing with, and your answers are short.
Mm,
'Cause it's like, I know you're not even fully there in the conversation, and then that is, like, because 'cause you're so in your head about it. If we can have a
mhm,
dialogue, I know you're at, like, a 5 or a 6. If it's just, like, very, like, short, you're up at, like, a 9 or a 10.
I'm up there. Okay. Last question. One thing I wish she believed about herself.
One thing I wish she believed about herself was that I wish you believed that you were further along than I think you identify that you are, like, in your development, your journey. I think
In
that
my
you are
journey.
just leaps and bounds from the woman I knew and loved in, let's say, 2021.
Gladly will reverse these questions.
Oh, God.
I did not prepare purposely, even though I wanted to, because obviously I need to have the
I mean,
perfect answer for things.
yeah, you
Number
wrote them. You
one.
should have. I would have definitely prepared.
Number two, you did not ask for this, so I will not publish the answers if you do not want me to.
No, please let me
Um,
have it.
okay.
That way people can tell you if they really want me back or
So
not.
here, right. Do we want this person? Let me actually, I'm going to put the questions in the chat so that you can
Okay.
ask them to me and I can really try to like just answer them like as they come in my head.
Okay. So, in classic fashion, I'm gonna do it
Out of
backwards.
order? Of course
One
you
thing
are.
I yeah. One thing you wish I'd believe in myself about myself.
One thing that I wish you believed
About myself.
more about yourself, how creatively grounded you are. Like you have an ability to, like we kind of joked in the beginning about like doing things on the fly, like doing the questions in reverse and like all like you have the ability to be creative and spontaneous in that way, but in a way, again, selfishly, in a way that makes other people feel grounded and safe in that.
Okay. I love that. You know I'm stressed when
You have this way, like there's a couple times, several times over our friendship where I think when our conversation starts on the phone, especially when you call me and we do the normal human exchange of like, "Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" When our phone call starts like that, I know that there's something you're calling me, like specifically something you're calling me about because we don't talk to each other like that. Like we have this understanding of like that's a stupid, like that's a
there's
filler, like
the
gross
small
way to
talk
start a
part.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't know how to describe it. There's a tone in your voice. And when our conversation starts like that, I know there's something like you called me for like a reason. We have something that we need to like get into and talk about.
He's changed the most in
You have changed the most in harnessing fire. You are a person that like you have an opinion, you will share an opinion, you will cut, like you have a way of like jugular. You have over the last several years, like I'm mixing up my metaphors here now, but like of being able to like fire hose that now, of knowing where to use it, when to use it, how strong. So that's what I've noticed has been one of the biggest changes that you've made.
okay. I love that. I've tried that. I've tried to work on that. What's my most annoying trait?
Your most annoying trait to me is being able to see through things. Um, as much as I need that and love that, it is also the thing that annoys me the most because sometimes I just want to be in my delusion and like not, and I know that you are not going to let that happen. Like you won't let that happen.
I still struggle with.
I think letting yourself fully be seen.
All right, finally, Greg's superpower.
Your superpower is making people feel special. You have an ability to make every person that comes across your path feel like, especially in that moment of like being around them, that they are the most important part of what's going on in that moment.
Wow. This was not as scary as I would have thought.
It wasn't, right?
Yeah. Whew.
Feels kind of good.
Yeah. People are not gonna believe we didn't rehearse that. Because I'm like, those are all so positive.
Not at all, but here's the thing, like, even just how we approach, like, recording today's episode, like, and this is something I've definitely taken from you and others in my life who are a little bit more relaxed with how they approach things. Did I create an agenda and a flow for today? Yes. There are certain parts that I let AI, I kind of fed in what we wanted to how to separate today's like episode, and then the questions AI actually generated out of what I shared we were talking about today. And I purposely did not, I like read through them to make sure, okay, these all make
Yeah.
sense. But I purposely stopped my brain of like, I'm not thinking about that. I want it to be, in the moment. I can live in the moment. And while I am like sweating, anxious about it, I lived. Like it was fine.
Look, I mean, I think it's great. I think that's actually the perfect analogy of like who you are. Like the fact that you can use AI and let AI like do this for you instead of you sitting there and doing all of it is wild work. But I also know you have been strategically speaking to your AI in a certain way. So it's basically still your voice. Like
Yes.
you're just like it's
Yes.
like
This is where I can create the perfect box that things belong. It's artificial it's Claude. It's
you're
artificial
gonna be
intelligence.
the only one that's excited with like the Terminator takeover because you're like,
I
I've literally created mine to be exactly what I
27.
need her to be.